I want to know why you listen to music, layering music in the morning that wakes other people up.
I've had a brilliant thought.
Tell me your brilliant thought. Yeah.
I'm willing to do this.
It's that.
Yeah, whenever I come, I play out. And then at the end, maybe I put me.
No, like 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. Is that bad? No. That's not the right one.
Because that's like a weird interlude where it's just like, okay, what are we gonna do?
Well, we could always like this is all I know. Turn off. And I figure out when we want to stop and get stop. It's not really.
Not really good.
Yeah.
I would do it.
Oh, my mom's supposed to be here.
Oh, I mean, you have a decent voice, you could sing.
I don't. Yeah, but I'm not good at it.
It's okay, I'm gonna be terrified too. Public speaking is one thing, but public singing, that's another.
Ready out.
All right, everybody, welcome to Devo. Thank you, Trevor. All right, guys, before we get started with announcements or anything tonight, we're going to announce the winner of the girls' costume, guys' costume, group/couple costume, and who got the candy corn count right. Unfortunately, the girls' first place and guys' first place for costumes are not here, but we're going to go ahead and tell them anyway. The girls, scoot up, there's chairs right there. The girls. Flower pot, Brenda's sister.
Oh,
cool. She had 4 votes. Larissa, who was the jelly bean, she had 3 votes. And then Macy and Erob tied with 2. And then guys, Harrison the Knight, he had pretty much every single vote. Clark had 4 and Connor had 2. Those were the only guys who had votes for him at all.
Did you vote for yourself?
All right, first place for the group/couples. Hocus Pocus got first with 20 votes. So, Derek and Stephanie had 11, and Trevor and Leah had 7. And then for superlatives, most likely to lose their shadow, Peter Pan. Most likely to float away, Larissa. Most likely to have matches, Shelby. Most likely to be eaten, Larissa. Most likely to get lost, Waldo. Most likely, oh come on. Most likely to scare a baby, Alex. Most likely to be a cross-dresser, Beth. Most likely to steal your money, Gypsy, which was Lily. And most likely to get peed on, Flower Pot. And then Harmony, which I don't think she is here, won the guess of the candy corn. She guessed 278, and it was actually 285. So who am I giving this to? All right, and now we'll do some announcements. All right. We have some announcements. UTC, get your UTC gold and blue on, and meet here at 9 to tailgate from 9:30 to game time. The game starts at 1, so if you want to come later, that's fine. You know. There's going to be chili, grilled cheese, and hot chocolate, because hot chocolate makes sense because we pulled out and because Clark is a part of it. So if you please sign up, and you will be asked to bring food, just because it helps out. So.
Nicaragua mission. If you would like to teach English through the Bible in Nicaragua, please stay for our meeting after Devo. This is a 4-week summer mission trip that we can collaborate with Central Church of Christ on.
All right, open mic night. It's going to be Monday, November 10th at 7 p.m. Okay. All right. It's going to be Monday, November 10th at 7 p.m. A coffee shop is going to be set up in the back with pastries and all kinds of drinks and stuff like coffee, you know, at a coffee shop. Deadline to sign up to perform is going to be Friday, November 7th. Performers are going to be asked to get here early to do some sound checks and act orders to, you know, put everything in order so that we know what's going on, just be organized. If anyone would like to make baked goods for this event, please let an SD know. Any SD will work. Please use this as an opportunity to invite people to the CSC that may not come on a regular Devo night. Anybody who may be intimidated by, you know, worship or something like that, you know, this is a great opportunity to invite them to come and just hang out, get to know some of us, and hopefully, you know, leading to, you know, maybe some kind of relationship with Christ. But, all right.
Singing class. Do you have a song that you would like to learn and start singing? Tell Cody and practice it at class at Central on Wednesday.
Evangelism before Devo. We're going to be meeting at 6 on Tuesdays to walk around Johnson O'Bear and Bowling Apartments to invite people to supper and to Devo. So if you want to be a part of that, meet here at 6 on Tuesdays, talk to an SD, figure that out. So.
Older weather. We're collecting gear to take to the downtown homeless community. Items gently used to new, backpacks, sleeping bags, coats, gloves, blah, 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 blah. Oh, also monetary donations, and etc. We will be planning a buying packing party soon. Please give all donations to Ashley. Ashley, raise your hand.
That's Ashley. All right, suggestions. If anybody has any suggestions on how, you know, we can make this place more welcoming or anything like that, please let us know. Any suggestions for anything. We want to be a better place, you know, better serving, so just let us know.
Textbook exchange. Don't forget that we're collecting books to let future students at the CSC use. If you have any books that the bookstore won't buy back from you or won't give you enough for, let us put them in our bookshelf. The bookshelf is in the closet.
All right, that's it.
All right, before we sing, Clark, you wouldn't mind praying for us?
Please bow me. Lord, thank you for the day that you've allowed us to have. Thank you for the fellowship we've been able to have here. Thank you for being able to be together and come worship you like this, to spend our time with you and together with you. Lord, please may our hearts and our minds always be on you, and may our lives reflect the good that you do in us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I stand to praise you, but I fall on my knees. My spirit is willing, but my flesh is so weak. Like the fire in my soul, and the flame make me whole. Lord, you know where I've been, so light the fire in my heart again. I feel your arms around me as the power of your healing begins. You breathe new life right through me, like a mighty rushing wind. So light the fire in my soul, and the flame make me whole. Lord, you know where I've been, so light the fire in my heart again. I stand to praise you, but I fall on my knees. My spirit is willing, but my flesh is so weak. So like the fire in my soul, and the flame make me whole. Lord, you know where I've been, so light the fire in my heart again. I will call upon the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from my enemies. I know the Lord liveth, and blessed be the rock, and let the God of my salvation be exalted. I know the Lord liveth, and blessed be the rock, and let the God of my salvation be exalted. Jesus Christ died for me, and He took away my sins. I will live with Him for eternity. I know the Lord liveth, and blessed be the rock, and let the God of my salvation be exalted. I know the Lord liveth, and blessed be the rock, and let the God of my salvation be exalted. I will call on the Lord, who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from my enemies. I know the Lord liveth, and blessed be the rock, and let the God of my salvation be exalted. I know the Lord liveth, and blessed be the rock, and let the God of my salvation be exalted. I will call upon the Lord. We will glorify the King of Kings. We will glorify the Lamb. We will glorify the Lord of Lords, who is the great I am.
Hallelujah to the King of Kings. Hallelujah to the Lamb. Hallelujah to the Lord of Lords, who is the great I am. We will glorify the King of Kings. We will glorify the Lamb. We will glorify the Lord of Lords, who is the great I am.
Hey, y'all, before we do this one, if everyone would mind standing up.
Hallelujah.
Praise Jehovah, from the heavens praise his name. Praise Jehovah in the highest, all his angels praise proclaim. All his hosts together praise him. Sun and moon and stars on high, praise him, O ye above heavens, and ye floods above the sky. Let the praises give Jehovah, for his name alone is high. His glory is exalted, and his glory is exalted, and his glory is exalted, far above the earth and sky. Let the praises give Jehovah, they were made at his command. And forever he established, his decree shall ever stand. From the earth, oh, praise Jehovah, all ye floods, ye dragons all, fire and hail and snow and vapor, stormy winds that hear him call. Let them praises give Jehovah, for his name alone is high. And his glory is exalted, and his glory is exalted, and his glory is exalted, far above the earth and sky.
There
Is beyond the azure blue a God concealed from human sight. He dipped his skies with heavenly hue, and framed the worlds with his great might. There is a God, he is alive, with him we live and we survive.
And we survive from dust our God.
From dust our God, created man, he is our God. The great I am. There was a long, long time ago a God whose voice the prophets heard. He is a God that we should know, who speaks from his inspired word. There is a God, he is alive, in him we live and we survive.
And we survive from dust our God.
From dust our God, created man, he is our God. The great I am. Secure his life from mortal mind. God holds the gem within his hand. Though men may search, they cannot find. For God alone does understand. There is a God. He is alive. on a tree. A life was willing there to give, that he from sin might set man free, and evermore with him could live. There is a God, He is alive, in Him we live, and we survive.
And we survive from dust our God.
From dust our God,
Created man.
He is our God.
He is our
God.
God sent his
Son. They called him Jesus. He came to love, heal, and forgive. He lived and died to buy my pardon. An empty grave is there to prove my Savior lives. Because He lives, I can face tomorrow. Because He lives, all fear is gone. Because I know He holds the future, and life is worth the living just because He lives. How sweet to hold a newborn baby and feel the pride and joy He gives. How sweet to still the calm assurance this child can face a certain day. Because He lives, because He lives, I can face tomorrow. Because He lives, all fear is gone. Because I know He holds the future, and life is worth the living just because He lives. And then one day, across that river, I'll find life's fun, no more with pain. And then as death gives way to victory, I'll see the lights of glory, and I'll know He reigns. Because He lives, I can face tomorrow. Because He lives, all fear is gone. Because I know He holds the future, and life is worth the living just because He lives.
All right, y'all can see it. As the deep. Is that the right one? I'll start it.
The deer pants for the water, so my soul longs after you. You alone are alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. You're my friend, and you are my brother, even though you are a king. I love you more than any other, so much more than anything. You alone are my strength, my shield. To you alone may my spirit yield. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. I want you more than gold or silver, only you can satisfy. You alone are the real joy giver and the apple of my eye. You alone are my strength, my shield. To you alone may my spirit yield. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you.
You're my strength
When I am weak, you are the treasure that I seek. You are my all in all. Seeking you as a precious jewel, Lord, to give up might be a fool. You are my all in all. Jesus, the Lamb of God, worthy is your name. My Jesus, you're the Lamb of God, worthy is your name. Taking my sin, my cross, my shame, rising up, bless your name. You are my all in all. When I fall down, you pick me up. When I am dry, you fill my cup. You are my all in all.
Take my sin, my cross, my shame,
Lamb of
I
God,
bless your name. You are my all in all.
my Jesus,
When I fall down, you pick me up.
Lamb
When I am
of
dry, you
God,
fill my cup. You are my all in all.
Jesus, the Lamb of God, worthy is your name. Oh, my Jesus, you're the Lamb of God, worthy is your name.
All right, you guys. Tonight we have a guest speaker. His name is Dave Miller, and he is from East Brainerd, I believe. From East Brainerd. He's going to talk to us. I believe what's going to be our last night of mission devos that we have. He has some great opportunities to come talk to us about, so y'all just listen to him. Here's Dave.
Everybody calls me Brother Dave that really knows me, so it's not really important what my name is, but I'm Brother Dave. Before I start talking, I want to sing a song, and I want you all to learn it, okay? It goes like this. The words are, what do you talk about? What do you talk about? Why don't you talk about Jesus? Okay? I've taught this in several different countries, in languages they didn't know, and they've caught on pretty quick. So what are the words of this song? All right, very good. There, for a minute, I almost had it. Okay, it's what do you talk about? What do you talk about? Why don't you talk about Jesus? Okay? All right, here's how it goes. What do you talk about? What do you talk about? Why don't you talk about Jesus? What do you talk about? What do you talk about? Why don't you talk about Jesus? What do you talk about? What do you talk about? Why don't you talk about Jesus? What do you talk about? What do you talk about? Why don't you talk about Jesus? To me, that's what missions is all about. We make it a lot of things that it's really not. We make it, you go to college and study missiology. I can't say it or spell it. But what missions is about is just talking to people about Jesus. It's telling the story. We used to sing a song a lot, tell me the story of Jesus. It's telling the story of Jesus in the context of your life. What does Jesus mean to you? How has Jesus worked in your life? If I could leave one thought with you, I want you to think about what I'm going to share about the particular mission I'm involved in. But if I could leave one thought with you, I would challenge you to learn to say yes to the urgings of God. Learn to say yes to the urgings of God. They may be as simple as, I noticed you were talking about feeding the homeless or taking stuff to the homeless. We had a little program that one of our young adult classes started. It was Biscuits for Jesus. One Sunday morning a month, we'd go down to, is it Miller Park, I think, where they hang out? Miller Plaza. We'd go down there one Sunday a month, and we would go and buy biscuits, and we just give them biscuits. And depending on the weather, we'd give them Cokes or whatever, or hot chocolate or coffee. No fanfare. Nobody had to get a budget up. Nobody had to plan and talk about it for a long time. Just the young adults that were in that class, those are just right out of college. I just decided to go down there and give biscuits in the name of Jesus. But we talked about Jesus. Why are you doing this? For Jesus. Who are you? I'm Dave Miller. I'm here because I love the Lord, and the Lord loves you. And we just talked about Jesus. So I would request you to learn to respond to the urgings of Jesus. I got started in preaching kind of a funny way. When I got out of college, I went to Harding University. I did not know I was going to college until 2 weeks before I did. I was average, maybe a little below average student in high school. I was trying to get a job in a factory. A guy came through our town. He happened to be from Harding. He happened to find out that I played sports, and he said, you ought to come to Harding. So 2 weeks from the day school started, well, actually practice started, I had no dream of going to college. But it just seemed like the right thing to do. So I went to college, graduated. My wife and I get married. I was a phys ed major. I was thin and very healthy then. But I was a phys ed major. Actually, I think my degree says kinesiology. Doesn't that sound better than PE? I have a degree in kinesiology. After we got out of college, we moved to Indiana. We got there very late Saturday night. Sunday morning, my wife gets up, and she's going to go to church. And I'm like, are you crazy? Nobody knows us here. Nobody's going to know if we go to church or not. I am tired. I am not going to church with you this morning. She said, fine, I'll just tell them you're laying up in bed. So I got up. I went to church. So we're unloading the truck. We just moved to our very first job. I was going to be the aquatic director of the YMCA and the swim coach. I was so excited about my new job. So we unload truck all afternoon, and she says, I'm going to church tonight. I said, are you nuts? We are not that spiritual. We don't have to do this. But she said, well, I'll go ahead and go and just tell them you didn't want to come. So I go to church. A man walks up to me, hands me a book, and says, this is the book the teenagers are using. We'd like you to start teaching next Sunday morning. Now, I look back on that. I think God, and I could have said no, but I try to say yes to the urgings of God. So I said, okay, I will. And you got to learn to do that. I am not particularly talented or educated, but when you say yes to the urgings of God, it's amazing what God can do with you. So what I want to talk to you about tonight is a mission. It's called Health Talents International. It's mainly a medical mission that is done in Guatemala. We do some other countries, but our main work is done in Guatemala. We got a little video that we're going to show, and I'm going to let it speak for what we do, and then I'll talk to you just a little bit more after that. This is called The Faces of Guatemala. I hope.
Esperanza. Misericordia. Amor. Servicio.
This is Guatemala, situated at the top of Central America. This is a land rich in natural resources, known as much for its active volcanoes and rich coffee as for its warm hospitality and tourism. And its lush green interior landscape makes Guatemala a tropical paradise that's second to none. Guatemala is called El Corazon del Mundo Maya, the heart of the Mayan world. And to this day, remnants of a once great civilization can still be found. Yet, as you look deep into the heart of Guatemala, you will find many of its people hurting and in need. Malnutrition, dirty water, inadequate health care and education. This is the plight of the faces of Guatemala. Health Talents International recognized the plight of these humble people and has ministered to them with medical care since 1978. Through mobile medical clinics, we are often the first point of contact that offers hope for healing. The relationships built from these mobile medical clinics changes lives and enables us to open the door for conversations about health, hygiene, education, and ultimately the love of Christ. Although public education is free, many Guatemalan children attend only 4 years of school, dropping out to scrape together a living on the streets or work in the fields. But through the ABC program, students discover that there is hope. With encouragement and loving direction from Health Talents and the local church community, the children have a chance to stay in school. And through Health Talents scholarship opportunities, many will continue their education in high school or technical school, and even medical school.
Desde que inicié con la carrera tenía un propósito y gracias a Dios mi propósito sigue siendo el mismo, que esa es mi forma de servir a Dios y no lo hubiera logrado si no hubiera sido por talento.
The life of Dr. Paz has changed, and because of this, she will in turn change the lives of many in her community, giving other Indigenous young women a glimpse of what their future can be. Our team of in-country professionals, along with volunteers from the United States, shows the love of Christ in action. Surgeons, nurses, dentists, translators, and compassionate caregivers come together to weave a rich fabric of service. Each year, more than 600 surgeries are successfully bringing relief and peace to the lives touched by these caring hands.
Health Talents International is an organization that goes about loving people in other countries in a holistic fashion. The word on the street is that Jesus works here. When they walk into our facilities, they know that we're working here with his hands.
The lives of children with tumors and other maladies are transformed forever. Imagine how the anxiety and despair of this mother turns to joy, excitement, and gratitude when her baby Amaryllis undergoes cleft surgery. Without it, malnutrition would have been a certainty, and this baby would have been ostracized. But now, baby Amaryllis has a chance for a full and joyous life. The faces of Guatemala are becoming faces of hope. That's why we're here. That's why we do this. We're giving hope, healing bodies, opening doors, and changing lives. Who knows what the future holds for the faces of Guatemala?
This is Guatemala.
This is Guatemala.
This is Health Talents International.
That's what we do. The light here or there. Okay, great, thank you. That's what we do, and we do it in Guatemala. Sometimes people ask me, why Guatemala? There's really not a particular good reason, in that we found there was a need there, and we found that we could meet that need. A hospital there that has 50 beds. It has 3 surgery rooms. It has a full dental clinic with 6 chairs in the dental clinic. We do eye surgery. We do a lot of GYN type surgery. We do a lot of cleft palates. We do a lot of, we're starting to do orthopedic surgery. And we take people there to do that once a month. We take a team down there. Over the course of the year, we'll take about 500 people, doctors, nurses, therapists, caregivers, that we call people caregivers that are not in the medical field. I'm going to talk to you mainly tonight about the people who are maybe thinking about going into something that has to do with the medical field. But if you want to go on this trip, there are places for you. If you can speak Spanish, we need translators. If you can't do any of that, then you can be what we call a compassionate caregiver. After the surgeries, we need somebody who can stay with people, bringing them water, help them go to the bathroom, help them get in and out of bed, those kinds of things that almost anyone can do. I want to tell you a couple of incidences that kind of give you an indication of what goes on in Guatemala as far as their religion is concerned. Of course, Guatemala was conquered by the Catholics. Very interesting picture that we have. We have a woman standing on this porch, and she's swinging back and forth this thing of incense. What you don't see when you see that picture is that the porch is the front of the Catholic Church. Now, what the Catholics did when they went in and conquered is that they would tear down the temples that were already there. They would take the stones of those temples and build a Catholic church. But that's holy ground to the people of Guatemala. The Mayans consider that holy ground. So they don't care what's on that ground. They're going to do their worship there. So you'll have a woman who is like a witch doctor or a shaman. She'll be on the porch of that church doing her rituals, even though it's a Catholic church. So their belief is very, very confused. Another example of what Aminism teaches is there's a great picture of a tree, and that tree has a woman's skirt wrapped around it. And the reason the tree has a woman's skirt wrapped around it is the year before it didn't bear any fruit. And so the witch doctor said, put a skirt on it, it will embarrass it, and it will bear fruit next year. You think it works? What do you think? Think it works? Okay, thank you. No. Okay. But guess what? There are some trees that don't bear fruit every year. Correct? So if it happened to be that tree and the witch doctor told you put the skirt on there and next year it bears fruit, you think it works? You can see why they would believe that it works. Another example of what happens in their faith system is they worship their ancestors. When we do dental work there, one of the things that we're trying to do is to teach them to brush their teeth. Dental care is very, very important to them. We found if we can get them to wear shoes, drink good water, practice good dental care, we can eliminate almost 70% of all the things that cause them to get sick. But guess what? Mom and dad don't have any teeth. Why do mom and dad not have any teeth? Because they didn't brush their teeth. Why don't they brush their teeth? Because grandma and grandpa didn't brush their teeth. So when you try to teach them to brush their teeth, you are going against not only what they have seen practiced, but one of the worst things you can do if you're worshiping your ancestors is to do something different than your ancestors did, because now you are disrespecting your ancestors. So you can't disrespect your ancestors. So if your ancestors didn't brush their teeth, you think it would be simple. Go into a village, show them how to brush, tell them what they're supposed to do. We take this dye, we have them brush with it, and then it shows how dirty their teeth really are. And we make them brush and brush and brush until they get that off there. And they have a lot of fun doing it. And you think intellectually, they say, oh, okay, we need to brush our teeth. But emotionally, it's hard for them to go against what their ancestors did. one of the areas that we work a lot in is we work with a lot of women. The women in the Mayan culture are allowed to go to school until about the 2nd or 3rd grade. The boys are allowed to go to the 4th grade. So they have to drop out to go sell something or go work in the fields. The women there do not believe they even have the right to tell you they're hurting. So we find these women just this horrible conditions that they're in, and we're able to go down there and perform surgeries that eliminate a pain that they have dealt with for many, many years. So that's part of the cultural differences that we have to deal with. I was telling somebody earlier, one of the problems we have is in language and understanding a cross-culture faith is a woman came in and she was having these terrible headaches. The translator asked him why she was having the headaches. And she said, because I have a frog in my brain. Now in America, we always talk about maybe having a frog in your throat, when you sound like this. Well, what does it mean? What is she trying to say in her culture when she says she has a frog in her brain? After some discussion, we realized that she had a frog in her brain because the witch doctor had put a curse on her and had put a frog in her brain. Now, how are you going to deal with that? When I first started doing this kind of work, I would have sat down with her and said, the witch doctor has no power. There's no frog in your brain. But what we have learned is not to do it that way. We have learned to say, do you know who God is? Do you know that there is a God that created everything? That this God is more powerful than the witch doctor? And so do you believe that? And if we can get them to say they believe that, then we say we are going to call upon our God to remove the frog from your brain. And we can pray with them, and the frog is removed from their brain. So you're learning cross-culture missions. You've got to understand the culture you live with. We have a program that I specifically wanted to come and talk to you all about 25 o'clock. It's called MET. It's Medical Evangelism Training. The MET program is designed for students who are at least in their 2nd year of school, those who are have some interest in going into something that has to do with the medical field. It can be a doctor, a dentist, a therapist, a physical therapist, occupational therapist, all kinds of different things that may have some interest in going into medical missions. The program is a 6-week program. You go 1 week of language school, and you learn Spanish. If you don't know Spanish, or if you already know Spanish, then you'll learn a dialect. When we go up into the mountains, they speak Quiche there. So oftentimes we'll have somebody speaking Quiche. Somebody else can translate that into Spanish. So they translate the Quiche into Spanish, and they speak the Spanish, and they translate it into English. So a lot of times the doctor will be sitting there speaking to a Quiche speaker. They'll translate it in Spanish. So you have 3 translators sitting there trying to help them understand what's wrong. So if you speak Spanish, you can go to another language school. But if you don't, you go to 1 week of language school. This is one-on-one. You're sitting across the desk from a teacher for a whole week. You go 4 or 5 hours a day. And then you have about an hour or so homework every day. You'd be amazed at the end of that week how much you actually learn, especially you all, bright and intelligent as most of you are. At the end of that week, we have 2 days of orientation to kind of teach you our philosophy of missions. Our philosophy of missions is that we go to work with the people. We do not want them to become dependent upon the American presence. So we work very hard as partners with them. It's interesting, we say in missions that when you go and you give them something the first time, what do you think you get back? Gratitude. You give it to them, you go back the second time, what do you think their attitude is? They're expecting. You go back the third time, what do you think their attitude is? Entitlement. We are entitled to what you're giving us. You go back to them the 4th time, what do you think happens? I didn't want that color. Or I wanted this, not that. You brought me shoes. I wanted a a TV or computers, what they a lot of times say. So what we try to do is we try to be very limited in just giving them something. So when we go in and do a surgery, we'll do a hysterectomy, for example. Anybody have any idea what a hysterectomy costs in the U.S.?
$12,000 to $15,000.
Okay, that's probably about right. You know what it costs in Guatemala? I don't know, so you can any answer would be $65. Now you may say, well, why do you charge these very poor people? Well, we charge them for two reasons. One, we found that if we charge them something, they feel that they are participating. We understand that if we charge them something, they'll take the medication and they'll take the advice afterwards. After all, they have invested in this. Now, what do we do about the very, very poor people? Well, out of that $65, 10% of it is taken and put into a fund that pays for the Guatemalans who cannot afford $65. But the Guatemalans are paying for the Guatemalan to get the surgery, not just the Americans coming down. We give out medication. Our medication usually costs about 10 cents for a prescription. But again, they have invested. We don't build church buildings, and we don't pay preachers. We share Christ. Our goal is to establish churches in the communities that we go in. In the time that we've been there, we've established 40 churches. One of those churches has built new church buildings 3 times in the last 5 years. The last one they built will hold 1,000 people. They don't have 1,000 people. They have about 350. But they got tired of building and building and building, so they just decided to build it big enough that they can grow into it. Not one dime of American money went into it. We want Guatemalans to do church as Guatemalans would do church, not as Americans necessarily would do church. Now, we teach them New Testament principles. We allow them to develop their way of doing that in their culture. And so it all starts with our medical missions. The MET program, like I said, is about a 6-week program. After you go to the language school and you get indoctrinated into our ideas of how missions should be done, then you spend about 2 weeks in the mountains. And in the mountains, you do mobile medicals. Now, you're 7,000 feet high in the mountains of Guatemala. It is beautiful. It's cold and cloudy, and you're dealing with Mayans, almost all of them. I love going there. I am a tall man in Guatemala. They look up to me. They say that I am a very thick man. I don't know what they mean by that, but they say I'm a very thick man. But up in the mountains, you're dealing with the Mayans. A lot of them don't speak Spanish. They speak a Mayan dialect. They're very much into their faith. You will know a Mayan that's still practicing the Mayan faith by the way they dress. Each village, they make their own dresses, and the dresses tell you what village they're from. They wear these little belts that will tell you whether they're married or not married. It's very, very interesting culture. So you'll spend 2 weeks up there living with a Guatemalan family. You live with the Guatemalan family while you go to language school. You live with the Guatemalan family when you're up in the mountains. Then after about a little over 2 weeks, you go down to what we call the coast. At the coast is where we have our clinic. At the clinic, you'll do some mobile medicals where you go out into the villages. But that's where we bring our medical teams there. If you're interested in nursing, if you're interested in surgery, if you're interested in optometry, you will get to go, or dentistry, you will get to go work with them. Most of the ones that go with the dentist, at the end of the week, they'll be giving shots and pulling teeth. I am terrified of the dentist. I have to take a Valium when I go to the dentist. I'm a big wimp when I go to the dentist. In the first medical mission trip I went on, they gave me the job of working with the dentist. I did it for a half a day. I said, I will do anything else, but I cannot do that any longer. But if you want to do that, you get a chance to do that. While you're at each one of these, you live with Guatemalan family. The cost of this is about a little over $2,000. It's a cost plus however much your flight costs from wherever you're coming. For a week's trip, if you want to go 1 week, is $650 plus the airline ticket. So it usually comes out to be about $1,200, depending on where you fly from. And that gives you 1 week. If you want to go to the MET program, which I'm talking about, it costs more than that. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to show the other video. This is a group of the students that went as Met students. You'll get to kind of see the whole thing. If you're interested, after this, I would like to say a prayer with you. And then I've got some brochures, and I'd like you to sign up if you're interested to get our e-letter. We don't ask for money. We're not trying to give you a hard time. It just keeps you informed about what we're doing. Okay, so this video will tell you more than I could.
Every now and then, a great opportunity comes along and you have to choose. You get the chance to go from our comfortable world into another place, through a door, into a different space and time. Doors open before you and you get to choose to walk through them. You're welcomed into a place you may never get to visit again. A place that calls you out of yourself and beyond anything you've ever been and may never be again. To see things you've never seen, to do things you have always wanted to do. There are some risks if you decide to take the opportunity. You risk opening yourself to questions that may have discomforting answers. You may even risk a certain amount of physical discomfort. You may even risk a small amount of danger. The biggest risk you take is that you could be changed forever. That your priorities could be rearranged and you'll see your world with new eyes. Can you consider the possibility of such an opportunity? Are you willing to face the risks? Last summer, I went with others who had decided to take a chance and to do something very different. We spent 6 weeks in rural Guatemala. We came from different parts of the country and different universities. Tennessee, Texas, Lipscomb University,
Pennsylvania, Boston College, Harding University,
Oklahoma, Alabama, Pepperdine University.
Abilene Christian University.
We had in common our unity in Christ and our common interest and curiosity about medical evangelism. We wanted to use our summer to learn how physical health care is an important part of the presentation of the gospel and to give ourselves in Christ to people in another country. We learned, we gave a little, we received far more than we gave. We were changed. Our summer was a mixture of colors and smells, textures, sounds, tastes, feelings, and impressions. When all of it was put together, our time in Guatemala formed an experience collage unlike any other we'd ever known. We lived with our new families in relative comfort.
This is our house, and this is the courtyard. And down here, this is where I think they leave. Evening, and then this is our shower. So, the water's about lukewarm. It's not really hot. It's my kitchen. We have a stone stove. And this is where they do dishes and wash your face and brush your teeth here. And these are our chickens that wake me up every morning. And this is my room. And my bed. Beautiful really good.
Sometimes we lived in small towns like Chicacao or Santo Tomas. At other times, we lived in the rural area up in the Central Highlands among the Mayan people whose ancient and traditional culture remains largely intact. We ate local food. We shopped in the stores and learned a little about the culture. We were kindly and generously made to feel welcome and cared for. We had language teachers who helped us learn to communicate. We worked in more than 20 rural locations helping in clinics. Often these were held in church buildings, emphasizing the close connection between spiritual and physical health care. We worked in partnership with believers who make up these congregations. We had classes on missions, culture, and medicine. We learned to recognize and treat or prevent childhood diseases that otherwise might have killed them or left them with lifelong complications. In many cases, we were able to teach people how to prevent those same diseases. It felt good to know that such a small thing was something we could do and that it would have a lasting effect on a child's life and health. We did what we could to teach the villagers about the importance of sanitation and good hygiene. We heard about infants who had died and wondered if we might have helped if we'd only had a chance to try.
This afternoon was really cool for me. I had a little boy come in, and I went out there and took his information down. He said he lived at the church. He didn't know how old he was. He had some disease on his hand that was causing a discoloration, and the nurses were all really worried. I didn't know what it was at all, but he sat there and talked to me as we waited for the nurse to come over to work on him because he needed 3 teeth pulled. Just this little boy talking to me for forever. And then he's so scared sitting there getting the injection, and then she lets me pull his teeth, which is really cool because he just sat there and he was really nervous when she was doing it. And as soon as she gave it over, he was just like, okay, and just opened up wide. It was pretty awesome.
We worshiped and prayed and sang with our brothers and sisters in languages not our own. We lived the relationship in Christ that is beyond language. And though we often didn't understand the words, it didn't really matter because we shared the belief that Jesus lived, died, and rose again, and that he lives in us and works through us. We were blessed in our relationships with others and learned to work together as a mission team. We laughed and cried. We helped each other and depended on each other, and finally came to believe that we could go on the field with any of them. We were blessed to be able to share our faith with people who were very different, yet also like ourselves. We were blessed by them as they shared their faith with us. We came away from this wonderful experience with a new awareness and appreciation for what it means to serve our Lord in a different culture. None of us will ever look at missions nor our own culture in the same way. We learned that missionaries are not superhuman people, but mostly ordinary people doing a superhuman task. We learned to appreciate the difference that we can make in people's lives just by teaching and sharing little things that we all take for granted, like cleanliness, good food, and basic health. Perhaps we learn most of all to appreciate all of the things that we have in our own country that are just a dream, an impossible dream for most of the people we saw. All of the things that make up the American dream. But it's not a dream to think that we have something to give, something to share, and that we as one person can make a difference in the world, and especially in our own lives if we're willing to do these that are offered to us. So if we are to go about the world, let us go in the name of our God and be about the business of our Lord. Let us put aside our fear and indecision and apathy and open our hearts and minds. Let us dedicate to Christ our considerable intellect and our irreplaceable youth. Let us say to Jesus, if you say wait, we will wait. But if you say go, we will go. If you step out on the water and some still say it can't be done. We'll fix our eyes on you, and we will come.